You open your eyes at 7 in the morning to the piercing screech of your smartphone alarm, scrambling to get dressed for another long day at the office. You squeeze yourself into a packed commuter bus, scrolling through social media while wondering if your ancient ancestors faced this much daily stress. But imagine a completely different reality, one where you walk into your office and the person sitting at the desk next to you is not a modern human. Instead, your coworker has a massive protruding brow ridge, a flared chest shaped like a wine barrel, and muscles that look twice as thick as yours. Yes, that is a real Neanderthal typing away on a mechanical keyboard. For about 99% of human history, having only one single human species on Earth was a highly unusual anomaly. For hundreds of thousands of years, our Homo sapiens ancestors shared this planet with at least 4 or 5 other distinct human species. Among them, the Neanderthals were our closest, most powerful, and most mysterious cousins. They mastered the harsh, freezing landscapes of Europe and Western Asia for over 300,000 years before suddenly vanishing around 40,000 years ago. Their disappearance left a massive question mark for modern science. Why did Homo sapiens succeed, while these freezing weather survival champions nearly vanished completely from the prehistoric fossil record? How did your modern world end up being populated exclusively by your specific lineage? To answer this existential evolutionary question, we must first shatter the primitive stereotypes created by popular culture. In modern Hollywood movies, Neanderthals are almost always portrayed as brutal, dim-witted cavemen who walk with a slouch, grunt instead of speaking, and drag women into caves by their hair. The scientific reality is completely the opposite. Modern archaeological discoveries, particularly the groundbreaking work by Professor Jean-Jacques Hublin at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, have proven that Neanderthals possessed an average brain volume of 1,500 cubic centimeters. This is actually slightly larger than the 1,350 cubic centimeter brain of modern humans living today. They were not stupid. They crafted highly sophisticated stone spears using the Levallois technique, a complex geometric knapping method that required careful planning to flake stone into razor-sharp edges. They controlled fire masterfully to cook complex meals, and they even utilized willow bark containing salicylic acid, the active ingredient in modern aspirin, to treat pain and injuries. At Chauvet Cave in France and Shanidar Cave in Iraq, scientists found shocking evidence that Neanderthals buried their dead with deep care, even scattering wildflowers over the graves of their loved ones. These are not the behaviors of wild animals. These are the clear expressions of a high-level intelligence capable of emotion, culture, and symbolic spiritual belief. So why did such a powerful and intelligent human species vanish, leaving you alone with your modern office deadlines? The older theories in anthropology suggested that modern Homo sapiens ruthlessly exterminated the Neanderthals with superior weapons during their migration out of Africa. However, modern genetic analyses by Nobel Prize-winning geneticist Svante Pääbo have completely overturned that violent narrative. By sequencing ancient Neanderthal DNA from fossilized bones, he discovered that all living people of non-African descent carry between 1% and 2% Neanderthal DNA in their genomes. What does this actually mean? Modern humans and Neanderthals did not just fight war movies. They loved each other, intermarried, and raised children together. We did not completely wipe them out. We peacefully assimilated them into our expanding populations over thousands of years of coexistence. But why did their physical fossil record completely disappear while ours exploded across every continent? The answer lies in a subtle but catastrophic biological and social difference between our species. To understand this difference, let us reconstruct a winter day 50,000 years ago. And trust me, it makes your modern corporate stress look like a relaxing day at the beach. Imagine a small band of 8 Neanderthals shivering inside a freezing cave in Western Europe, because Neanderthals were massive, heavily muscled survival machines. Their bodies required an incredible amount of energy. A single Neanderthal male needed up to 5,000 calories a day just to stay alive in the sub-zero ice age climate. To get these calories, they had to hunt megafauna like woolly mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, and giant bison. Neanderthal spears were heavy, thick wooden shafts tipped with broad stone points, designed for thrusting rather than throwing. This meant that to kill an Ice Age beast, a Neanderthal had to walk directly up to a multi-ton woolly rhino, look it in the eye, and thrust the spear into its side. Skeletal analyses of Neanderthals show a pattern of healed bone fractures that perfectly matches the injuries found in modern professional rodeo cowboys. Every single hunt was a high-stakes, life-or-death wrestling match with prehistoric monsters. If a hunter was injured, the small band of 8 people suffered a catastrophic loss of food production. Now, contrast this dangerous survival strategy with a band of Homo sapiens arriving on the exact same landscape. Homo sapiens were lighter, thinner, and required far fewer daily calories to maintain their body weight. Instead of wrestling mammoths up close, Homo sapiens invented a revolutionary weapon, the spear thrower, or atlatl. This was a carved wooden leverage tool that allowed a hunter to throw a light, aerodynamic dart with incredible speed from a safe distance of 30 meters. A Homo sapiens hunter could hide behind a bush, launch a lethal projectile, and wait for the animal to bleed out without ever risking a bone-crushing kick from a desperate beast. This technological leap dramatically reduced hunting injuries and allowed Homo sapiens to hunt a wider variety of smaller, safer prey like rabbits, fish, and waterfowl. Neanderthals, locked in their specialized mammoth hunting niche, simply could not compete with this highly efficient, low-risk survival strategy. But the most decisive weapon that Homo sapiens possessed was not made of stone or wood. It was our unique social brain. Anthropologist Dr. Polly Wiesner, who has studied the social structures of hunter-gatherer societies, emphasizes that Homo sapiens maintained incredibly large, complex social networks that stretched across hundreds of kilometers. If a local drought or winter storm wiped out the food supply in your valley, you did not starve. You simply walked over the mountain to a sister tribe who recognized your language, your symbolic jewelry, and your shared myths, and they would feed you until the crisis passed. Neanderthals, as proven by raw material transport studies, rarely traveled more than 30 kilometers from their home caves. Their social groups were tiny, isolated genetic islands of 8 to 12 people. When a catastrophic volcanic eruption or sudden climatic shift hit Europe, an isolated Neanderthal family had no safety net. If their local valley froze, they simply starved to death in the dark. Homo sapiens survived not because we were individual geniuses, but because we built the world's first social security system. This brings us to a counterintuitive evolutionary twist that directly mirrors how you live your life today. We like to think that our superior intellect, our complex languages, and our advanced technologies are what make us human. But in reality, your entire modern existence is built on the exact same evolutionary trait that allowed our ancestors to outcompete the Neanderthals: the ability to believe in things that do not exist. Homo sapiens are the only species on Earth that can create and believe in shared myths like money, human rights, nations, and corporate structures. A dollar bill has absolutely no biological value. You cannot eat it or use it as a weapon. Yet, millions of humans who have never met each other will work 40 hours a week because they all share the exact same belief in the myth of money. This ability to organize millions of strangers around a single abstract idea is what allowed our ancestors to build cities, coordinate global supply chains, and construct modern hospitals. Neanderthals, with their practical, hyper-realistic brains, could only cooperate with people they knew personally. They could never form an army, a corporation, or a global healthcare network. When we mirror this ancient evolutionary struggle onto your modern life, the realization is truly eye-opening. You spend your days sitting in front of a computer, worrying about digital numbers in your bank account, stressing over abstract corporate hierarchies, and trying to maintain a complex web of social relationships online. You often feel completely overwhelmed by this hyper-connected, symbolic world. But this abstract, stressful social matrix is the exact reason why you are alive today. If our ancestors had possessed the practical, hyper-realistic, isolated mindset of the Neanderthals, we would have remained small, quiet bands of forest dwellers, completely vulnerable to the next major shift in our environment. You are the direct product of a species that chose connection, cooperation, and shared imagination over isolated physical strength. Ultimately, when you shut down your computer at the end of a long workday, step out of your office building and merge into the bustling crowd of strangers walking toward the subway. Take a look around you. Watch the thousands of human beings navigating the city streets, operating under the invisible, shared rules of modern society, and realize how miraculous this collective behavior truly is. It turns out that the disappearance of our Neanderthal cousins was not a story of brutal violence, but a profound lesson in the power of human connection. And as you arrive home, turn off your smartphone and lie down in your comfortable bed. You can drift into a peaceful sleep, knowing that your ability to dream, to cooperate, and to share this world with those around you is the ultimate survival tool that conquered the Ice Age and built the modern world.